Excuses change nothing. Results change everything. That's the truth most people run from, but it's the only truth that separates the ones who dream from the ones who actually win. If your life isn't where you want it to be, stop rehearsing reasons and start producing proof. No one is auditing your intentions. No one is scoring your explanations. Everyone is silently judging your outcomes. You either have results or you have excuses. You cannot hold both in your hands. And here's the part most people don't want to admit. This isn't about perfection. It's about honesty. Look at your daily habits, your routine, your actions. Are they pushing you forward or just filling time and making you feel busy? Every excuse you create protects your comfort. Every result you create builds your future. You don't need a smarter plan. You need sharper execution. That execution starts when you take complete control of your time, your energy, and your effort. That's what this audiobook is about. Teaching you how to shift your mindset, fix your focus, and get serious about one thing. Results. Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Not after the weekend. Right now. One of the hardest truths for people to accept is simple. Talk is cheap. Saying what you'll do doesn't move you forward. Announcing your goals doesn't change your life. Posting about your intentions on social media might get you a few likes, but it doesn't get you progress. Talking about your plans feels good. It gives you a quick hit of satisfaction, like a sugar rush. You feel like you've made progress simply because you spoke the words. But deep down, you know you haven't moved an inch. Words are weightless. Proof is heavy. Think about the last time you told yourself you'd start exercising, start a side hustle, improve your finances, or master a new skill. How often did that energy die in the air? You wrote down a plan, maybe even shared it with a friend. But then days passed, weeks passed, and when you looked back, nothing in your reality had changed. And every time this happens, something dangerous grows inside you. You don't just lose time, you lose trust in yourself. You feel the gap between what you say and what you do widening. That gap eats at your confidence. It whispers that maybe you're not as disciplined as you thought. There's only one way to close that gap. Results. Results don't have to be massive at the beginning. They just have to be real. If you say you're going to wake up early tomorrow to work on your goals, the result is simple. Did you wake up early? Did you do the work? If yes, that's proof. That's evidence. That's progress. It may not be glamorous, but it matters. Because proof compounds. The more evidence you collect that your actions match your words, the more you begin to trust yourself again. And when you trust yourself, you move with power instead of doubt. Excuses are tricky. They rarely announce themselves as excuses. They dress up as logic. They sound reasonable. You tell yourself you're too tired. You convince yourself the timing isn't right. You promise you'll start after this, after that, after the next thing. But excuses are only noise. They don't deliver results. You can explain why you didn't act. You can justify it to your family. You can defend it to yourself. But none of that produces progress. Explanations never changed a single life. Only results do. When you stop talking and start proving, you immediately separate yourself from the masses. Most people live in the fantasy of someday. They live in when the time is right. They love to share their ideas, but they never back them with evidence. And you already know this truth. Nobody truly respects ideas without proof. People nod politely when you talk about your plans. But deep down, no one takes you seriously until they see results. If you want respect from others and from yourself, you must deliver. Proving yourself through results isn't just about external recognition. It's about inner transformation. Imagine the surge of pride you feel when you finish something you promised yourself you'd do. Imagine the power of looking at your own life and seeing proof that your discipline is real. That kind of evidence is fuel. It's energy. It's momentum. But you'll never taste it if you stay stuck in talk. You can imagine, you can dream, you can wish, but it will all feel hollow until you've got proof in your hands. Psychology explains this clearly. Your brain doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to evidence. When you act and see results, even small ones, you rewire your mind. You connect effort with achievement. You begin to believe in your own ability. But when you keep talking without proving, your brain learns a darker lesson. Your words are empty. Your promises are weak. And that destroys self-trust. The question is, which lesson do you want to live with? The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. It isn't even opportunity. It's the willingness to produce proof. Successful people don't live in endless planning. They don't brag about their next big move. They deliver. They create evidence. They point to progress. It's not always perfect. It's not always pretty, but it's real. Once you build the pattern of proving instead of promising, success stops being a mystery. It becomes predictable, because results compound and evidence stacks. So pause right now. Ask yourself, in which areas of your life are you still talking too much and proving too little? Is it your health, your finances, your relationships, your career? Be brutally honest. What have you actually produced? Not what have you planned. Not what have you intended. What proof do you have? If you can't name it, the answer is clear. You've been living in excuses. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay there. Change begins the moment you demand evidence from yourself. Instead of saying, I'm going to eat healthier, prove it by cooking one clean meal tonight. Instead of saying, I'm going to read more, prove it by finishing 10 pages before you sleep. Instead of saying, I'm going to start a business, prove it by making one phone call, one pitch, one sale. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be real. Because when you start producing results, people notice. They stop rolling their eyes at your promises. They start believing in you. Opportunities follow evidence. Respect follows evidence. Momentum follows evidence. And it all starts with one decision: to stop giving excuses permission to live in your life. Let's be clear, this path is not easy. Excuses are comfortable. Results are demanding. Excuses let you stay safe. Results force you to grow. But only growth changes your life. The price of growth isn't paid in words. It's paid in proof. Every day you choose results over excuses, you make a deposit into your future. Every excuse avoided strengthens your character. And eventually, those deposits add up into a life worth admiring. This is personal responsibility in its rawest form. No one else can do it for you. No one else can lift your weights, make your sales calls, write your book, or live your discipline. It's on you. Always has been. Always will be. The sooner you accept that, the sooner your life changes. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop explaining why you're not there yet. Stop announcing intentions without proof. None of that matters. What matters is simple. Did you act or not? Did you produce evidence or not? Ask yourself this question every night before you go to bed. If the answer is yes, you'll rest with pride. If the answer is no, you'll know exactly why you feel stuck. That clarity alone can change everything. Because once you truly see that excuses have no value, you'll never waste another day on them. Every single person alive has the power to turn words into proof. You don't need permission. You don't need the stars to align. You don't need motivation to strike. You just need to act. And if you act consistently, you'll collect results. Those results will become your story, your evidence, the undeniable proof that you lived with discipline, that you built a life worth respecting. The choice is always yours. Keep talking or start proving. Keep excusing or start producing. Choose results and you'll be shocked how much your life can change. Not in a year, not in a month, but even in a single day. Results are proof you respected your own word. Excuses are proof that you didn't. Which one do you want to live with? Because in the end, only results change your life. Nothing else counts. Nothing else matters. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're divided. They scatter their power into 1,000 directions and then wonder why nothing moves. They burn energy without building momentum. They start everything and finish nothing. If you want to change your life fast, stop trying to be everywhere. Choose one hill. Plant your flag. Win that hill completely. Clarity is rocket fuel. The more precise your target, the more force you can apply. The brain loves focus. It hates fuzziness. When your list has 10 top priorities, you've admitted you have none. When your calendar is a wall of random tasks, you've quietly declared chaos your boss. But give your brain a single, bright, non-negotiable target and something powerful happens. Resistance decreases, decision friction drops, and your days snap into alignment. You go from "what should I do?" to "how soon can I do it?" This doesn't mean you abandon your life. It means you stop pretending you can master 5 transformations at once. You can be a supportive partner, a good parent, a reliable friend, while channeling your growth energy into one main mission. Think like an athlete in a championship season. Life continues, but the season's goal dominates the map. Water can splash for years and change nothing. But channel that same water through a narrow nozzle and it cuts steel. Your effort is water. Your focus is the nozzle. Concentrate effort and you create penetration, visible progress that pierces obstacles instead of sliding around them. People confuse motion with momentum. Motion is movement without direction. Momentum is movement with compounding direction. Compounding happens only when today's actions build on yesterday's in the same lane. Every time you switch lanes, you reset compounding. That's why a little of everything produces a lot of nothing. Focus is a multiplier. 10 units of effort sprayed across 10 goals equals 1 unit of progress per goal, barely visible. 10 units on one goal equals 10 units of progress, impossible to ignore. Your confidence doesn't grow from doing more things. It grows from making one thing undeniable. Not all goals are equal. Some are keystone goals. Win here and a cascade of life improvements follows. Ask yourself, what single outcome, if achieved in the next 12 months, would make the other goals easier or irrelevant? Which achievement would upgrade my identity the most? Which skill, if mastered, would permanently raise my earning power/health baseline/relationship quality? Maybe it's getting into the best shape of your life. Maybe it's shipping your first profitable product. Maybe it's mastering one high-value skill. Choose the hill that bends your future. If you're stuck between two, pick the one that scares you a little more, the one that would force you to level up daily. Courage is a compass. Then make the commitment explicit. For the next 12 months, this is the hill I will win. Everything else is secondary. Write it where you see it morning and night. Say it out loud. Let your friends get tired of hearing it. Identity grows where attention goes. Big goals fail when they stay big. Shrink them into daily, visible work. Define the finish line. Increase revenue is fog. Launch and sell 500 units of product X by December 31st is a finish line. Make it measurable, dated, and public to yourself. Name the lead actions. Results are lagging indicators. You can't do revenue, weight loss, or subscribers. You can do calls made, videos posted, workouts completed, calories logged, pages written. Identify the 2 to 3 lead actions that, done daily/weekly, almost guarantee the lag result. Block the non-negotiable window. Choose a sacred block every day where the main mission gets first claim on your best energy, before email, before news, before the world. Even 60 to 90 focused minutes beats 6 distracted hours. Morning is ideal because willpower decays. Set your minimum viable day. There will be storm days, travel, illness, emergencies. Define the smallest version you still do no matter what, e.g. 15 minutes of writing, 30 push-ups, 10 outreach messages. The streak survives. Momentum lives. Track only what matters. A simple scoreboard. Date, lead action completed, Y/N. Quantity. No fancy apps needed. What gets measured gets respected. What gets respected gets repeated. Every yes costs you the focus you swore you wanted. Distraction isn't just TikTok. It's also shiny opportunities dressed as progress. A new collaboration, a side idea, an additional program, all good things that are not the thing. Adopt a 3-question filter for every request. Does this directly accelerate my one goal this season? Will this compound with my current system or force a context switch? If I say yes, which part of my main system will I cut? If you can't name what you'll cut, you're about to tax your focus with a hidden fee. Pay attention to the cost of harmless diversions. Most people don't get beaten by big failures. They get drained by 1,000 tiny detours. Saying no isn't rude. It's respect. Respect for your word. respect for your timeline, respect for the version of you waiting on the other side of this goal. Keep a plan B for safety. Keep 10 plan Bs and you'll use one at the first sign of discomfort. Humans drift toward the softest cushion. Remove the cushions. Don't make quitting impossible. Make drifting expensive. Do this instead. Declare a threshold. No new projects until milestone 3 ships. Public commitment. Tell a person you respect exactly what you'll deliver and when. Ask them to check in weekly. Money on the line. Optional, set a donation to a cause you don't support if you miss critical commitments. Your brain suddenly learns the difference between try and do. Overwhelm is not too much work. It's too many open loops. When everything matters equally, your nervous system panics. Focus cures this by collapsing your world into the next concrete action toward one outcome. Write the next action on a post-it and do it. Then the next. The mind calms when it sees closure. Remember, clarity makes courage simpler. You don't need to feel fearless. You need to know the next step and take it. Design a single-thread routine that you repeat until the goal is done. Prime, 10 to 15 minutes quick movement, water, 1 page of your own commitments. No phone. Deep block, 60 to 120 minutes highest value work on the main goal. 0 notifications. A timer that scares laziness. Ship something, close a loop, send the email, publish the post, submit the proposal, log the workout. Scoreboard. Mark a visible X for the day on a big calendar. Don't break the chain. Tidy the runway. Write tomorrow's first action so the next day starts fast. Do this 5 days per week for 26 weeks on a single mission and watch compounding show up like gravity. Results come from glamorous sprints and boring reps. Champions tolerate monotony. They don't require entertainment to execute. When you feel boredom rising, recognize it as a sign you're living inside a system that works. The mind will beg for novelty. Smile and do another rep. Have a boredom protocol. Change scenery, not direction. Move to a cafe or change playlists, but keep the same task. Micro-challenge. Write 200 words in 10 minutes. 10 cold DMs before this song ends. Reward after shipping. Novelty is dessert, not dinner. Most people try to overpower friction with willpower. Smart people reduce friction. Environment. Lay out clothes the night before. Prepare your workstation. Preload tabs/documents. Make starting easy. Automation. Calendar blocks, recurring task lists, meal prep, templates for outreach. Think once, execute often. Decision diet. Choose a default. For example, same breakfast, same deep work hours, same gym days. Save decisions for the parts that need creativity. Every friction removed adds frequency. Frequency beats intensity over long horizons. The fastest way to change behavior is to change the story you tell about yourself. Stop saying, "I'm trying to get fit," and start saying, "I'm an athlete in training." Stop saying, "I'm building a product," and start saying, "I'm a founder who ships." The identity must match the hill you declared. Then behave like it today. Ask, what would a person with this identity do in the next 60 minutes? Do that. Identity is not a reward at the finish line. It's the uniform you put on to win the game. Life will throw chaos at your calendar. Family needs, surprise tasks, sudden problems. Focus doesn't mean fragility. It means resilience. Use the RRR rule. Refocus. Acknowledge the disruption without drama. Reduce. Shrink today's plan to your minimum viable day. Keep the streak alive. Return at the earliest moment, resume the single thread. Don't punish yourself. Restart yourself. Success favors the person who can restart fastest. Break the year into 4 12-week sprints aimed at the same hill. Each sprint has 1 outcome metric, lag e.g., 500 paid customers, 12 kilograms lost, $50K booked, 2 lead measures, e.g., 5 sales conversations/day, 1,600 calories/day, 1 video/week, plus 3 shorts. Weekly review ritual, 30 to 40 minutes. What worked, what didn't, what to change. Schedule the next week's deep blocks. Ship day, One day each week dedicated to releasing something finished, features, posts, proposals, workouts, lessons. Shipping is the heartbeat of momentum. At the end of each sprint, celebrate visibly. Not because you're done, but because you're someone who finishes. The first weeks can feel slow. You're laying pipe underground. No water flows at first. Then one day the line connects and pressure roars through everything you built. Most people quit a few feet before that connection. They dig 5 shallow wells instead of 1 deep one. Trust the math of consistency. You are never wasting a rep on the right hill. There's a trap that kills focused people, learning loops that feel like doing. You consume books, courses, podcasts about your goal and mistake that intake for output. Education matters, but study is a support activity. Production is the main activity. Adopt a rule. 70% produce / 20% improve / 10% learn, create first, refine second, study last, and only what helps the next rep. If you can't apply it this week, save it. Focus thrives in truth, not shame. Hold yourself to standards, not self-hatred. When you miss a day, name it, I broke the block. Neutralize it. What friction beat me? Narrow it. What tiny version can I do now? Normalize the restart. I'm someone who gets back on the single thread. 1 missed day is data. 2 missed days is a pattern. Stop the pattern. Tell your circle your hill. Ask for support. Some will cheer. Some will tempt you to return to average. Protect your environment. Focus partners. 1 or 2 people pursuing their own single hill. Share weekly numbers, not excuses. Office hours for others. Set times you're available. Guard your deep block with your life. Boundary scripts. I'm on a 12-week sprint for goal. I can't add anything until date. If it helps that mission, I'm in. If not, I'll pass for now. You teach people how to treat your time by how you treat it. Each day should end with evidence that strengthens the identity you're building. 1 visible achievement that the world, or at least your scoreboard, can see. Don't let days dissolve into activity fog. Name the day's win and mark it. Ask nightly, what did I finish that advances the one goal? What friction did I remove to make tomorrow easier? What is the first action I'll do at the next deep block? Plan it. Sleep on it. Wake ready. Imagine 365 days where your best hour met the same mission. Imagine 4 sprints of shipping, measuring, and refining. Imagine a wall calendar littered with X's, no broken chain longer than 1 day. You would not recognize your results, your skills, or your confidence. People would call it luck. You would call it focus. A scattered year produces trivia. A focused year rewrites your biography. Pick the hill. Give it your full attention. Say no like your life depends on it, because it does. Build a day that makes success unavoidable. Let boredom be the sign you're on track. Keep restarting faster than you fall. And when in doubt, return to the single thread and ship something today. Because in the end, you won't be judged by the number of goals you started. You'll be remembered for the ones you finished. Excuses are seductive. They sneak into your thoughts dressed as logic, disguised as valid reasons. They whisper, you're too tired. You'll do it tomorrow. You don't have enough time. You're not ready yet. And before you even realize it, the excuse has stolen the action. This is why most people stay stuck. They don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they hesitate at the exact moment when excuses show up, and that hesitation gives the excuse enough power to win. If you want results, you must build the discipline of rejecting excuses immediately. Not later. Not after debate. Not after reflection. Instantly. Think about the last time you planned to wake up early, go to the gym, or work on your project. Right before the moment of action, a thought appeared. It's fine if I skip just this once. That single thought is the start of the trap. If you obey it, you start a pattern. 1 skipped workout leads to another. 1 postponed project becomes weeks of delay. Every excuse compounds into lost opportunities, wasted potential, and declining self-respect. Excuses don't feel like destruction in the moment. They feel like relief. But what they really do is quietly push your dreams further away. Every excuse you accept trades a small comfort now for a giant regret later. Here's the truth. The battle is won or lost in the first 5 seconds. When the excuse enters your mind, you have a small window to act before it takes over. If you say no immediately and move, you stay in control. If you hesitate, the excuse grows roots, feels heavier, harder to push away, and soon it owns you. That's why the best strategy is speed. Don't negotiate with excuses. Don't try to reason with them. They'll always sound logical if you give them airtime. Instead, cut them off and replace them with immediate action. Feel tired? Put on your shoes. Don't feel ready? Start the first step anyway. Think you don't have time? Do 5 minutes right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. One of the most dangerous lies people tell themselves is that their excuses are special. They believe, my situation is different. My problems are harder. My reasons are valid. But the truth is, everyone faces the same categories of excuses. Too tired. Too busy. Not ready. Don't know how. Timing isn't right. Different words, same patterns. The difference is this. Some people refuse to obey them and some don't. The first group grows. The second group stays stuck. Excuses are universal. Results are optional. Which one will you choose? Like any discipline, rejecting excuses is a muscle. First, it feels heavy. You're used to letting excuses run the show. But every time you refuse, you strengthen your ability to act. And the stronger that muscle gets, the easier it becomes to break free. The first time, it's hard. The 10th time, it's manageable. The 100th time, it's automatic. Soon, you become someone who simply doesn't tolerate excuses. Not from yourself, not from anyone. That's an identity shift. Identity creates destiny. The day you start seeing yourself as a person who acts without excuses is the day your results accelerate. Every excuse you accept has 3 hidden costs. Lost progress, the obvious cost. You didn't take the action, so the goal remains untouched. Lost confidence, the deeper cost. You know you avoided the work. That knowledge chips away at your self-trust. Lost time, the permanent cost. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. And suddenly, you're living a life you promised yourself you'd outgrow. Excuses may save you from discomfort, but they cost you your future. To fight excuses, don't just rely on willpower. Build rituals that make action automatic. Prepare in advance. Lay out your clothes. Prep your workspace. Block time in your calendar. Excuses thrive when decisions are unmade. Shrink the barrier. If you don't feel like doing an hour, do 10 minutes. If you don't want to run 5 miles, walk 1. Small wins kill excuses. Anchor the trigger. Link your goal to a daily habit. After brushing teeth, write 1 page. After morning coffee, do push-ups. Excuses lose when the routine is automatic. Your brain can't argue with rituals. They run on autopilot. Surround yourself with excuse makers, and you'll start believing your own lies. Surround yourself with action takers, and excuses sound ridiculous. If your circle is full of people who justify laziness, you'll normalize excuses. If your circle is full of people who demand results, you'll rise to their standard. That's why environment is more powerful than motivation. Motivation fades. But if everyone around you values results, you'll stop tolerating excuses, even in yourself. Excuses don't just attack big goals. They creep into the small, daily decisions. I'll clean my room later. I'll return that call tomorrow. I'll drink more water next week. They may seem harmless, but they form a habit. A person who excuses small things will excuse big things. Train yourself to reject excuses everywhere. No matter how small, choose action. Clean the room now. Return the call now. Drink the water now. Build the habit of immediate execution, and your entire character upgrades. Picture this, 6 months from now. Version 1, you let excuses win. You postponed the workouts, delayed the project, defended the reasons. Nothing changed. You feel stuck, frustrated, weaker. Version 2, you said no every time an excuse appeared. You took action daily even when it was small. You built momentum. You stacked proof. Your confidence grew. 6 months later, you barely recognized the person in the mirror. Both futures are possible. Both futures start with the same moment, the appearance of an excuse. Which version will you choose? Here's a simple system. Every time an excuse appears, take one action within 5 seconds. Don't argue. Don't plan. Move. If the thought says, "I'll work later," open the file now and type one sentence. If the thought says, "I'll exercise tomorrow," drop and do 20 push-ups now. If the thought says, "I don't know enough," Google one resource and start learning now. The excuse dies when the action lives. Excuses are not harmless. They're theft. They steal your time, your progress, your pride. Respect yourself enough to stop letting them in. Every time you say no to an excuse, you're not just protecting a goal, you're protecting your character. You're proving to yourself that your word matters, that your dreams matter, that your discipline is stronger than your comfort. That's real respect. Rejecting excuses changes more than your actions. It changes your identity. You go from being someone who explains failure to someone who creates success. You stop living as a victim of circumstances and start living as a builder of results. And once you see yourself this way, you never want to go back. Every excuse is a chain. Every action is a key. Enough excuses and you're trapped. Enough actions and you're free. So train yourself to recognize the voice of excuses the instant it speaks. Interrupt it with movement. Refuse it without negotiation. Replace it with proof. Because in the end, the people who succeed are not the ones without excuses. They're the ones who refuse to let excuses win. Say no. Act now. Collect results. Busyness is the easiest trap in the world. People mistake motion for progress, activity for achievement, effort for outcomes. They live their days full, but not full of anything that matters. At the end of the week, they can list dozens of things they worked on, but very little they finished. And here's the brutal truth. Unfinished effort has no power. The only thing that transforms your life is finished outcomes. You don't get paid for starting. You don't get respect for almost finishing. You don't gain confidence from half-built attempts. You only grow when you direct your energy toward completions that can be measured, counted, and proven. Effort without outcomes creates exhaustion without satisfaction. You've felt it before. You worked all day, bounced between tasks, answered messages, touched 100 things, but when you sat down at night, you couldn't name one significant thing you had actually finished. That's why you felt drained instead of fulfilled. Real fatigue doesn't come from hard work. It comes from wasted work. When your energy produces no outcome, it leaves you weaker. But when your energy creates something finished, it restores you. You feel proud, stronger, motivated. Finishing gives energy back. That's why the discipline of directing your energy toward outcomes is life-changing. Every day can either end with proof or with fog. Choose proof. Busyness is seductive because it feels productive. Planning feels like progress. Preparing feels like progress. Talking about the work feels like progress. But unless those activities end in something real, something you can point to, they're just disguised procrastination. Anyone can look busy. Few can show outcomes. And the difference between the two separates the average from the extraordinary. Ask yourself this question every time you act. Will this activity produce something meaningful, or just the feeling of being busy? If the answer is just busy, cut it. If the answer is meaningful outcome, double down. Every morning, you wake up with a full battery of energy. Throughout the day, every choice either drains it or directs it. Scroll on your phone, battery drained, nothing finished. Start 5 small tasks, battery scattered, nothing finished. Pour into one meaningful outcome, battery invested, proof created. The truth is, most people don't have an energy problem. They have a focus problem. They drain their battery into meaningless outlets and then wonder why they feel empty. Direct that battery into finishing outcomes, and your energy turns into momentum. Starting is exciting. Completion is transformational. There's a deep psychological reward that only comes when you finish something. That finished state gives you confidence, momentum, and pride that no amount of working on it can give you. Think of a time when you finished a project, a workout program, a book, a milestone. That sense of closure lit you up. You didn't just feel busy, you felt accomplished. That's the power of completion. proves your effort mattered. Unfinished tasks don't just waste energy during the day. They also live rent-free in your mind. Every half-done task becomes a mental weight. You carry it around, thinking about it, worrying about it, feeling guilty about it. That mental clutter drains you more than physical effort ever could. The cure is simple: finish. Every time you finish, you release pressure. You free mental space. You regain clarity. Even small completions, sending the email, cleaning the desk, finishing the chapter, build strength because they clear the mind. Define outcomes clearly. Don't just work on the project. Decide, I will submit the first draft by Friday. Vague targets kill outcomes. Clear finish lines create them. Prioritize ruthlessly. Not every task deserves your energy. Separate shallow work, tasks that make you look busy but change nothing, from deep work, tasks that move your goal forward. Spend your prime energy on the deep work. Protect focus blocks. Dedicate distraction-free hours to finishing outcomes. Phones off. Notifications silenced. One task open. Guard these hours like your life depends on them, because your future does. Ship something daily. Don't let a day pass without producing one finished outcome. Big or small. One completed proof per day compounds into massive results over time. Track completed outcomes, write them down. Build a record of proof. When you see the list grow, you build belief in yourself. Belief fuels discipline. Motion is activity that doesn't change your reality. Progress is completion that does. Brainstorming without finishing the draft equals motion. Organizing workout clothes without exercising equals motion. Researching endlessly without acting equals motion. On the other hand, submitting the draft equals progress. Completing the workout equals progress. Publishing the post, launching the product, closing the sale equals progress. The difference is not effort. The difference is closure. Most people have a graveyard of half-finished attempts. Books half-read, courses half-completed, projects half-done, goals half-pursued. These half-finishes destroy confidence. Each one is a silent reminder that you quit. To break the cycle, lower the number of commitments. Finish 2 things instead of starting 10. Completion is more powerful than variety. 2 finished outcomes will transform your life more than 10 half-starts. Finishing outcomes doesn't just make you productive. It makes you trustworthy to others and to yourself. People respect those who deliver, not those who promise. Every outcome you finish strengthens your reputation. Every outcome you complete increases the value of your word. And perhaps more importantly, you begin to respect yourself. You see yourself as someone who delivers. That identity shift becomes a foundation for everything else. Each season, choose 2 to 3 major outcomes that matter most. Not 20, just 2 to 3. Then break them into weekly finish lines. Each week, ask, what can I finish this week that moves one of my outcomes forward? Write it down. Protect it like it's life or death. Do not add extra until it's finished. By the end of the season, you'll have a list of completions instead of a fog of activities. That record will prove you lived with discipline. Completion is addictive. One outcome creates confidence to pursue the next. One finished project gives energy for the next challenge. That's how momentum is built. Not by trying to do everything, but by finishing something and letting that win fuel the next. Momentum doesn't live in intentions. It lives in proof. Look back at your life. What do you regret most, the times you were busy or the times you failed to finish? No one lies awake at night regretting that they didn't answer every email. They regret not finishing the book, the degree, the business, the transformation. When you direct energy toward outcomes, you minimize regret. You build a record of proof instead of a pile of what-ifs. Directing your energy toward outcomes is about more than productivity. It's about integrity. It's about keeping your word to yourself. It's about respecting your time enough to use it wisely. At the end of your life, no one will remember how busy you were. They'll remember what you finished. And you'll remember it too. So stop scattering energy into tasks that look impressive but change nothing. Focus your battery. Finish what you start. Create outcomes that are visible, undeniable, and permanent. Because motion doesn't change your life. Completion does. There will always come a season in your journey when the results you crave refuse to show up. You'll put in the hours. You'll give your effort. You'll try to stay consistent. And still, progress will feel invisible. That moment tests your character more than any success ever will. Most people fail here. They look for someone to blame. They say the market is unfair, the timing is wrong, the people around them don't support them, the system is stacked against them. And once they convince themselves of that story, they quit. But winners respond differently. They don't shift responsibility. They don't hide behind explanations. They look in the mirror and ask the hardest questions. What can I do better? Where did I fall short? How can I improve? That's accountability. And accountability is the foundation of growth. Too many people confuse accountability with shame. They think holding themselves accountable means beating themselves up, drowning in guilt, or feeling worthless when results don't appear. That's not accountability. That's self-sabotage. True accountability is ownership. It's choosing to face reality honestly, without filters. It's the courage to say, the results aren't here yet, but I'm responsible for changing that. It's the refusal to run from the truth, even when the truth hurts. Guilt paralyzes you. Ownership empowers you. When you own your outcomes, good or bad, you gain control. Because if you're responsible, then you also have the power to change it. When results don't show, excuses rush in to comfort you. Maybe this wasn't meant to be. Maybe I just don't have what it takes. Maybe success is for other people. These excuses feel safe in the moment, but they're poison long term. Excuses allow you to stay in the same place without guilt. They tell you that nothing more could have been done, so you can stop trying. But the moment you accept that story, you kill your growth. Accountability kills excuses. When you choose accountability, you're forced to face the uncomfortable truth. There's always something you can adjust, improve, or persist through. The lack of results isn't destiny. It's feedback. Here's why most people avoid accountability. Measurement exposes the truth. They don't want to step on the scale, check the bank account, or review the numbers. They prefer to stay busy and feel productive rather than face the reality of whether their work is actually working. But activity without measurement is wasted energy. You can't improve what you refuse to measure. Accountability means looking at the scoreboard, no matter how painful it is. Did the numbers move? Did the outcomes show? Did your actions produce evidence? When results are weak, accountability forces you to adapt. Not to quit, adapt. You test, you refine, you adjust. That's how growth happens. Most people stop too soon. They plant seeds, water them for a week, and quit when no tree appears. But life doesn't work on your timeline. Some results take longer to show. Some outcomes compound slowly, invisible until the breakthrough finally arrives. Accountability means staying consistent even when progress is hidden. You don't abandon the process after a few weeks. You keep going long enough to give results a chance to surface. You refuse to let impatience destroy the seeds you planted. True accountability is holding yourself to persistence even in silence. Because silence doesn't mean failure, it means waiting for the echo. When results are missing, accountability means interrogating your own actions. Did I truly give my best effort? Or did I just go through the motions? Did I waste time on distractions that looked like work? Was I consistent long enough for results to appear? Did I choose the right priorities? Or did I scatter my focus? Am I being honest about my habits? Or am I protecting my comfort? These questions sting. They strip away your excuses, but they also give you clarity. And clarity is the first step to correction. When accountability reveals flaws in your plan, don't quit. Adjust. If your fitness isn't improving, maybe your workouts are inconsistent or your diet is undisciplined. Adjust. If your business isn't growing, maybe your actions don't match what the market demands. Adjust. If your skills aren't developing, maybe your practice is shallow instead of deep. Adjust. The ones who win aren't the ones who get it right the first time. They're the ones who keep refining until results arrive. It might feel heavy at first, but accountability actually frees you. It frees you from waiting for luck. It frees you from hoping someone else saves you. It frees you from blaming circumstances. When you take full ownership, you realize you don't need permission, resources, or perfect timing. You have everything you need to take another step. You hold the steering wheel. That's freedom. Every time you dodge accountability, you weaken your self-respect. A part of you knows the truth, that you could have done more, that you avoided the work. That truth eats at your confidence. But when you hold yourself accountable, even when results are missing, you gain respect for yourself. You prove that you're honest, disciplined, and unafraid of reality. That self-respect becomes confidence, and that confidence fuels future action. At first, it helps to have external accountability, mentors, coaches, or partners who check your progress and keep you honest. But the ultimate goal is internal accountability. The strongest people don't need someone else to remind them. They carry the standard within themselves. They ask every night, did I do what I said I would do? Did I use my time well? Did I move closer to my goals? If the answer is no, they don't excuse it. They correct it. That's how they stay on track. Accountability is simply refusing to lie to yourself. It's having the courage to say, the results aren't here yet, but I'm not quitting. I will find a way. That mindset transforms frustration into determination, setbacks into lessons, and failures into stepping stones. Every successful person you admire has walked through seasons of no results. They faced silence, setbacks, even ridicule, but they kept showing up. They kept adjusting. They kept holding themselves accountable. That's why they reached the other side. And you can too. When results do not show, don't blame. Don't run. Don't quit. Hold yourself accountable. Face the truth. Adjust your actions. Stay consistent. Respect yourself enough to take ownership of your growth. Results may be delayed, but if you hold yourself accountable, results will never be denied. When life gets hard, most people don't work on progress, they work on defending excuses. They put more energy into explaining why they didn't act than into actually acting. They polish their reasons until they sound convincing. They argue for their limitations as if they're proud of them. And while they defend their excuses, time keeps passing, opportunities keep slipping, and nothing changes. But excuses, no matter how well-dressed, don't create results. They don't move you forward. They don't build your future. Only progress does. Even small progress, even imperfect progress, is infinitely better than the strongest excuse. Excuses exist for one reason, to protect your ego in the moment. They let you feel less guilty about avoiding the work. They shield you from discomfort, but they come at a brutal cost, your growth. Progress, on the other hand, doesn't care about comfort. Cares about movement. It may be messy, it may be small, but it changes your reality. Every bit of progress is a brick in the future you're building. Excuses keep you standing still. Progress keeps you advancing. So the choice is simple. Protect your pride now or build your growth for later. You can't have both. An excuse is just a story. You tell yourself you didn't have time, you didn't feel ready, you didn't know enough. But stories don't produce evidence. Progress produces evidence. If you worked out today, your body will feel it. If you saved money this week, your account will reflect it. If you made the call, sent the email, finished the task, there's proof. At the end of the day, stories vanish. Evidence stays. Excuses are powerful because they shift the language. Instead of saying, I didn't act, you say, I couldn't act. That one word changes everything. Didn't keeps the power with you. You could have acted but chose not to. Couldn't removes the power from you. Suggests you had no control. But here's the truth, you almost always could. You just didn't. And the more honest you are with that, the faster you grow. Because didn't can be fixed tomorrow. Couldn't traps you forever. Here's a simple tool. Every time you start defending yourself, stop and ask, am I defending an excuse or am I creating progress? If you're about to explain why you didn't act, cut it off and redirect that energy into action. Don't explain, execute. Instead of saying, I didn't have time to exercise, do 20 push-ups right now. Instead of saying, I was too tired to work on my project, spend 10 minutes making progress right now. Instead of saying, I don't know how, learn the very first step right now. Excuses crumble when replaced by immediate proof. Every time you defend an excuse, your credibility shrinks. People may nod politely, but deep down they know you're avoiding responsibility. Over time, they stop believing your words. But when you focus on progress, even small progress, people notice. They respect effort more than explanation. They trust proof more than promises. Progress builds trust. Excuses destroy it. Everyone faces obstacles: time, money, stress, doubt. Successful people face them too. The difference is they don't use obstacles as defense. They use them as motivation. They ask, how can I move forward despite this? Excuses turn obstacles into walls. Progress turns obstacles into challenges. One paralyzes you, the other strengthens you. If you want to replace excuses with action, create a system. Daily progress log. At the end of each day, write down one concrete step you took toward your goal. No excuses allowed. If you can't write anything, that's your wake-up call. Progress first, defense never. When you fall short, don't explain it. Acknowledge it, then act immediately. Micro-progress rule. On hard days, shrink the goal but still act. 5 minutes, 1 rep, 1 page. Something is always better than nothing. Weekly proof review. Every week, look back at your progress log. Seeing the proof builds belief and silences excuses. Excuses and progress don't just shape results, they shape emotions. Excuses give you short-term relief, but long-term guilt. Deep down, you know you avoided the work. That truth weighs on you. Progress gives you short-term discomfort, but long-term pride. You go to bed knowing you moved forward. That truth frees you. Which feeling do you want to live with? Relief that turns into regret, or effort that turns into pride? Spend your time with excuse makers, and you'll normalize defending reasons. Spend your time with action takers, and excuses start to sound weak. Progress spreads like energy. When you live it, you inspire others. When you defend excuses, you encourage others to shrink too. Your discipline sets the tone not just for your life, but for the people around you. Replacing excuses with progress takes courage. It's easier to say, I couldn't because, than to admit, I didn't. But honesty is power. When you admit the truth, you regain control. You can change didn't into did. You can't change couldn't. Courage is looking at yourself without filters, then taking action anyway. Picture 2 versions of you 1 year from now. Version 1 spent the year defending excuses. They explained every failure, justified every delay, argued for their limitations. They're in the same place or worse. Version 2 spent the year choosing progress. Every day, no matter what, they made a step forward. Sometimes small, sometimes big, but always real. At the end of the year, they've built proof, confidence, and results. Which version will you be? Excuses don't solve problems. They only explain them. Progress solves problems. Every action chips away at what holds you back. So stop wasting your voice on defense. Replace every excuse with 1 step of proof. Build progress every single day, no matter how small. Because 1 day of excuses leaves you weaker. 1 day of progress leaves you stronger. And your future is built 1 choice at a time. Choose progress. Refuse defense. If you want to change your life in a real and lasting way, you cannot rely on random bursts of effort. You cannot live by chance, hoping 1 big push will fix everything. Success doesn't come from occasional intensity. It comes from consistent daily actions that produce visible results. Not vague promises. Not hidden progress you can't measure. Not dreams you only talk about. Results you can point to and say, I did this today. That's how you transform days into momentum, momentum into growth, and growth into success. Most people let their days blur together. They stay busy, they move around, they talk about what they'll do, but when asked, what did you actually achieve today? They struggle to answer. That's why weeks disappear, months vanish, and years pass with little to show. But when you build your life on visible achievements, you create evidence. Every day ends with proof of progress. Every week stacks results. Every year becomes a body of work that no one can deny. Busy means nothing. Finished means everything. Visible achievements don't have to be massive. In fact, they usually aren't. One workout completed. One chapter read. One client call made. One debt payment processed. One skill practiced. Individually, they may seem small, but stacked daily, they transform your life. A book is written one page at a time. A body is built one workout at a time. Wealth is created one disciplined choice at a time. Intentions without proof are empty. Small wins with evidence compound into transformation. One of the greatest traps people fall into is vague effort. They say, "I worked on it today," but when asked what they finished, they can't answer clearly. That's the difference between activity and achievement. Activity feels busy but produces nothing. Achievement produces outcomes you can measure. The question you must ask daily is simple. What did I complete today that I can prove? If the answer is nothing, you wasted the day. Your brain trusts evidence, not intention. When you complete something real, no matter how small, you give your mind proof. That proof builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from motivational quotes. It doesn't come from talking big. It comes from seeing your own actions match your words. When you can point to evidence every day, you stop doubting yourself. You start trusting yourself. Confidence is not built on promises. It's built on proof. Momentum is a force, and it's built on visible outcomes. One finished workout motivates you to do another. One finished chapter motivates you to read the next. One completed task motivates you to tackle something bigger. Progress breeds progress. The more proof you create, the more energy you feel. Excuses lose power when results are visible. Without visible achievements, momentum dies. Days feel wasted. Motivation fades. Confidence collapses. Not every achievement counts. Checking meaningless boxes doesn't change your life. Your daily results must align with your bigger vision. If your goal is fitness, finishing your workout matters. If your goal is financial stability, completing your savings deposit matters. If your goal is business, finishing your sales call matters. Don't confuse fake productivity with real progress. Focus on visible achievements that push the. One of the heaviest feelings at night is going to bed knowing you wasted the day. You may have been busy, but you didn't produce anything meaningful. That regret compounds. It builds frustration. But when you finish something real each day, no matter how small, you go to bed with peace. You know the day wasn't wasted. You know you invested in your future. That feeling of progress is priceless. Excuses give comfort in the moment but regret later. Achievements give discomfort in the moment but pride later. Which one do you want to live with? Motivation is unreliable. It fades with moods. Discipline is what keeps you consistent. And discipline is built through daily achievements. When you do what you said you would do, today you strengthen your identity. You see yourself as someone who follows through. That identity is what drives long-term success. Every daily achievement is a promise kept to yourself. Keep enough promises, and you become unstoppable. Here's how you live this principle. Set one daily target every morning. Decide the one visible achievement that matters most today. Write it down. Finish before distractions. Complete your target before the world pulls you away. Discipline means protecting priorities. Record your proof. At night, write what you completed. Don't lie to yourself. The list never lies. Stack progress, review your week. See the chain of achievements growing. Let that motivate you to keep going. At first, daily achievements may feel small, but over weeks and months, they become unstoppable. 30 days of visible proof creates habits. 90 days of visible proof builds momentum. 1 year of visible proof transforms your life. The results stack in ways you can't ignore. You become stronger, smarter, more disciplined. Not because you dreamed, but because you acted. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to achieve everything in one day. You just need to achieve something real every day. Excuses fade. Talk fades. Busy fades. But visible achievements last. They create proof that you're serious. They build confidence, respect, and results. Live each day with this principle. Don't go to bed without a result you can point to. Build your life with proof. Because when the world asks who you are, your results will answer louder than your words. The biggest threat to your progress isn't always failure. It isn't always doubt. More often than not, it's distraction. Distractions are silent thieves. They don't come shouting. They come softly, disguised as harmless, disguised as rest, disguised as opportunity. A quick scroll, a short break, a meaningless conversation, and suddenly hours are gone. But distractions don't just waste time. They create the perfect soil for excuses. You get pulled away, and then you cover it with, "I'll get back on track later. I deserved a break. It wasn't urgent anyway." What began as distraction ends as excuse. If you want to break free from excuses, you must first learn to refuse distractions. Every excuse begins somewhere. Rarely does it appear out of nowhere. It starts with distraction. You plan to exercise, but your phone notifications pulled you in. Hours later, you say, "I was too busy." You plan to study, but you open YouTube. Hours later, you say, "I didn't have focus today." You plan to save money, but you wandered into online shopping. Days later, you say, "I'll save more next month." If you refuse the distraction early, the excuse never gets created. The first step in defeating distractions is noticing them. Most people lose because they're blind. They let distractions slip into their lives unnoticed. Train yourself to pause in the moment and ask, "Is this pulling me forward or pulling me back?" That single question creates a gap between reaction and choice. In that gap, you gain power. Instead of reaching automatically, you decide deliberately. You won't always feel like resisting. Sometimes the distraction will feel easier, more pleasurable, more fun. But discipline means acting on commitment, not on feeling. It doesn't mean you never rest. It means rest is chosen, not stolen. It means you control when and how you relax instead of letting random impulses control you. When you refuse distractions, you're not just saving time, you're protecting your integrity. You're proving that your priorities matter more than your impulses. Every time you give in to distraction, you feel a short burst of pleasure. But when the day ends, regret comes. You know you wasted precious time. On the other hand, when you resist distraction and finish your task, you feel pride. That pride fuels more action. The memory of distraction creates guilt. The memory of focus creates confidence. Which memory do you want to live with? Don't rely only on willpower. Willpower gets tired. Structure beats willpower. Silence your phone or put it in another room when you work. Block websites or apps that steal your attention. Keep your workspace clean and free from clutter. Communicate boundaries with people who interrupt you. The fewer distractions in your environment, the stronger your discipline feels. Not all distractions come from screens. Some come from people. Friends, family, or colleagues who pull you into conversations, invitations, or tasks that don't serve your goals. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you respect your time. It means you value your growth. And when your results show, those same people will respect your discipline. Some distractions look like opportunities. A new project, a new idea, a new invitation. They may feel exciting, but if they pull you away from your current priority, they're not opportunities. They're distractions in disguise. Ask, will this move me closer to my current goal or delay me? If it delays you, refuse it. The world is full of options, but progress only comes from focus. The easiest way to destroy distractions is to refuse them early. The longer you hesitate, the stronger they grow. If the phone tempts you, don't scroll, just for a minute. If the show tempts you, don't click play. If the invite tempts you, don't say maybe. Cut it off before it hooks you. Every early refusal is a victory. Each one strengthens your resistance. Over time, you become someone who isn't easily shaken, someone who protects focus at all costs. Think about it. A year wasted on distractions doesn't just cost time. It costs results. It costs confidence. It costs opportunities that could have changed your life. But a year lived with discipline, refusing distractions daily, leaves you with achievements, growth, and results that others respect. The difference between those two futures isn't luck. It's how you handle distractions. Excuses are dangerous. but distractions are what feed them. If you want to eliminate excuses, you must first eliminate the distractions that create them. Guard your attention. Say no early. Build your environment for focus. And remember this: every distraction refused is a step closer to the results that will change your life. Don't let distractions write your story. Let your results do it. Most people live in the world of intentions. They say they want to change, they say they want to improve, they say they want to achieve. They carry those words like trophies, as if wanting is the same as doing. But here's the hard truth: intentions don't build results. Your life doesn't change because you meant to do better. It changes because you proved it through action. You cannot measure your growth by intentions. You must measure it by results. Intentions are safe. They make you feel good in the moment because they whisper a promise of a better future. You tell yourself you'll start next week, and for a moment you feel lighter. But that comfort is a trap. While intentions create temporary relief, only action creates transformation. Excuses thrive in the gap between what you intended and what you delivered. And the longer that gap grows, the more your confidence erodes. Results don't lie. They show the truth about your discipline, your effort, and your consistency. If you intended to exercise but didn't, your body shows it. If you intended to save money but didn't, your bank account shows it. If you intended to learn a skill but didn't, your opportunities show it. Results don't care about your story. They reflect your actions. They're not always kind, but they're always honest. And honesty is the foundation of growth. One of the biggest dangers of living by intentions is self-deception. You tell yourself you're improving because you thought about it, because you planned for it, because you want it more than ever. But when you measure the facts, nothing changed. That illusion destroys progress. You feel good without being good. You feel like you've moved forward while standing in the same spot. Stop lying to yourself. Ask the only question that matters: what can I prove? Confidence doesn't come from motivational talk. It comes from evidence. When you finish a workout, when you complete a project, when you hit your target, your brain records it. That record builds belief. On the other hand, when you keep living in intentions, your brain learns the opposite lesson: that your words mean nothing. Over time, you stop trusting yourself. That's why results are non-negotiable. They rebuild self-respect. Don't make the mistake of thinking results only mean massive victories. Small results matter. They're the seeds that grow into transformation. Reading 10 pages today is a result. Saving $10 this week is a result. Making one call is a result. Stacked daily, they create undeniable change. Intentions don't compound. Results do. Excuses can sound logical until you compare them to results. You can explain why you didn't act, but results make explanations irrelevant. A person with results doesn't need to justify anything. The proof speaks louder than words. When you live by results, you stop wasting energy defending yourself. You let your actions defend you. Intentions are vague. They sound like, I want to work harder. I want to be better. I want to get healthier. But how do you measure that? You can't. Results are clear. I finished my workout. I saved $500. I completed my course. They give you direction. They tell you what's working, what isn't, and what to adjust. Without results, you drift. With results, you move with clarity. If you judge yourself by intentions, failure feels devastating, like proof you're not good enough. But if you judge by results, failure becomes feedback. If the result isn't what you wanted, you learn, you adjust, and you try again. Results aren't judgment. They're information. They tell you the truth so you can grow. Intentions are private. You can keep them in your head, hidden from the world. But results are visible. People can see them. Your family, your coworkers, your friends, they all see whether you've produced something real. That visibility creates pressure, but it also creates accountability. People respect results. They may listen to your intentions, but they believe your proof. Here's a practice that destroys excuses. At the end of every week, ask yourself, what did I produce this week that I can prove? Not what you thought about, not what you planned, what you finished. If you can name real results, you're growing. If you can't, you're stuck in intentions. That honesty is how you break free. Intentions mean nothing without results. The world doesn't pay you for what you plan. Your body doesn't change from what you hope. Your life doesn't improve from what you want. Only results count. So stop congratulating yourself for intentions. Stop living in the comfort of someday. Judge your growth by the only thing that matters, evidence. Because results are proof that you respected your own word. And excuses are proof that you didn't. Build proof. Live by results. And your growth will never be in question again. Success is not a single event. It's not one big break, one lucky chance, or one extraordinary effort. Success is the quiet accumulation of daily actions. Actions that build undeniable proof of who you are becoming. Every day, you either create evidence of your discipline or evidence of your excuses. And the record you build, day by day, becomes the story of your life. Hope feels good, but it's weak. Hope without proof collapses the moment life gets hard. Evidence, on the other hand, is unshakable. When you have a track record of daily action, you don't need to hope you'll succeed. You can see that you're already on the path. Self-belief doesn't come from empty affirmations. It comes from stacking proof. The workout you completed today, the money you saved this week, the project you finished this month. That's evidence. And evidence compounds. Doubt thrives in the absence of proof. When you don't have results to point to, your mind starts whispering, "Can I really do this? Am I capable? Is success even possible for me?" But the moment you complete a task, even a small one, you silence that doubt. You rewire your brain to connect effort with achievement. Each result tells your mind, "I can do this. I am doing this." Evidence destroys doubt. One massive push doesn't matter if it's followed by nothing. True success comes from the discipline of daily action. A single workout won't change your body, but 100 workouts will. One day of saving won't build wealth, but 100 days will. One day of practice won't master a skill, but 100 days will. Consistency builds more proof than intensity ever will. Every time you follow through on a daily action, you strengthen your integrity. You prove that your word means something. And when your word means something to you, you build a level of trust that cannot be shaken. But when you break promises to yourself, when you say you'll act but don't, you weaken that trust. You begin to see yourself as unreliable. That destroys confidence. Daily evidence is how you rebuild self-respect. Excuses are loud when there's no proof. But once you have results, excuses lose their voice. You don't need to explain why you didn't act when you can point to what you finished. You don't need to defend yourself when the evidence is there. Results speak louder than excuses ever could. Here's how you make building daily proof automatic. Set one clear action per day, every morning. Decide the one thing you will complete today that proves progress. Track your record. Write down your results at the end of each day. Keep a visible list of proof. Review weekly. At the end of the week, look at the evidence. Let the record fuel your belief. Never miss twice. If you slip one day, don't let it become two. Break the chain early and rebuild immediately. This system ensures that every day leaves behind a result that adds to your future. When life gets hard, when motivation is low, when doubt creeps in, your past evidence becomes your shield. You can look back and say, "I've done this before. I've shown up before. I can do it again." That record of action becomes your confidence. Without it, you'll crumble at the first challenge. With it, you'll endure. Think ahead. What would your life look like if, every single day for the next 5 years, you built one piece of proof? 1,800 workouts. 1,800 days of saving and investing. 1,800 pages written, lessons learned, or skills sharpened. That kind of evidence is unstoppable. It rewrites your identity, transforms your reality, and creates a future no one can deny. Excuses change nothing. They leave no record. They vanish into air. But results stay. Results build. Results multiply. So don't let a day slip by without proof. Don't settle for vague intentions or empty talk. Make every day count by leaving behind evidence. Because when you live this way, you don't need to convince anyone. including yourself, of your potential. The evidence will do it for you, and in the end, it's the evidence that creates a life you can be proud of.